This course is presented to you free of charge by TTJ Tech Services of www.ttjtech.biz and by Stir It Up of www.stiritup.com. And remember, stir is spelled with a U, not an I, so that's STURITUP.com. TTJ Tech Services and Stir It Up are pleased to offer this course to you to the glory of God and to the benefit of all those who listen. Well, praise God. Praise the name of the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Welcome to session 18 of iPad for All Computing. I have a couple of quick announcements before we get started, and I'm going to leave them in the recording because if you're listening back on our podcast, you may want to know this anyway in case you attend some of the live sessions. So I just want to go over a couple of details with you all. We, of course, are going to have regular classes next week and a regular Tuesday help session for those who are listening live, and for those who care about the dates of that. We're talking about a regular Tuesday session on Tuesday, April the 22nd. That's a normal help session. But that will be our very last regular help session of the 2024-25 training season, because starting the following Tuesday, all of the remaining Tuesday sessions from there through the end of May are going to be iPad content. So if you are attending these iPad classes in person, live in Zoom, and you have made it a habit not to attend the Tuesday sessions, you're going to want to try to come, if possible, to the remainder of the Tuesday sessions. There's 1 month of class left at that point. Believe it or not, only 1 month, but still a lot of content. And we need those Tuesday sessions in order to be able to do all of that, get all of that across to you. And so all of those Tuesday sessions will be iPad teaching. If you miss them, if Tuesday is not available for you, certainly they will be recorded and they will be on the podcast. So you can get them back, but it's going to be very important. Some of the stuff that I know some of you really want to know will be on some of those Tuesdays. For example, April the 29th, which I believe is a Tuesday, is going to be about using keyboards with the iPad. So you're going to want to attend. Now, Saturdays with Stir It Up, as far as I can say, will still proceed as normal, but that is entirely up to Trainer Cliff. And I don't know if he's having class this particular weekend, with it being Easter or what we like to call Resurrection Sunday. So I don't know if he'll do Saturday or not. He will announce that. That's entirely up to him. I am not going to micromanage what he does at all there. So he will announce if there is anything to announce. The other thing I want to remind you, since we're talking about only a little over 1 month of class left and stuff, is I want to start announcing this every session now. There will be no class on Memorial Day, which you probably might have assumed, but that's May 26th. There will be no class on Monday. We will have the Tuesday and the Wednesday, and we'll have a final wrap-up session on Thursday, May the 29th. So please start being aware of that. Mark your calendars for that so that you don't forget it. And that's all the housekeeping that I have for you today. We've got a packed agenda today. Praise God, we're looking at doing the Notes app. But before we get into Notes, we have a special treat that we need to actually take care of, and that is the Voice Memos app. We have not talked much about Voice Memos. I cannot do a recording on the iPad that I'm using with the screen share because of the Zoom session. So we are going to pull up another iPad that I have here. Praise God. I have two of them. He's blessed me in that way. And I have another one. And so I'm going to do the original audio, but I'm not going to start the screen share yet. We will when we do Notes. So let's get the audio going. Okay.
Sound button. More. Speech off.
All right. So now you have original audio, so you can hear my other iPad very, very well. I might not have even needed to do that with this iPad. Praise God for the purposes that we're doing it, but it'll still, I think, make things easier. So I have another iPad here, and we're going to go into the Voice Memos app. Um, I think this is truly a very important app because um, when I was a kid, of course, you did everything with cassette players and tape recorders and so on. And they became very portable, very inexpensive. I mean, it was an easy way to record. And that really was, I was thinking back about this. Uh, when I was a kid, that was like my way of keeping a diary or a journal. And maybe you'd even compare it to how some people take photos and then go back and look at their photos and reminisce and all those things. And, I did that with cassette tapes, and I would record everything that was important to me, and that's how you did it. But you also use those cassette recorders to make notes. And, the problem is you can't easily find things on a cassette. And I remember, especially as a child, I mean, just a kid, not having been taught, organizational skills, or, still learning them, and you don't think about those things as a kid. And so, I'd have a cassette tape where I'm recording whatever outing I was doing that day or this or that. And all of a sudden, in the middle of it somewhere, there'd be the phone number for so-and-so is 927, and you'd have, and I mean, how is that really useful, right? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And then you started getting these little digital things and all. You don't need any of that anymore because you can do it on your iPhone and your iPad. And the Voice Memos app, there's no limit to how much you can record other than your own storage, right? However much you can store. And of course, you can use these files anytime you want. You can listen back to these recordings. You can name them. You can even edit them to a small extent in the Voice Memos app. If you need to edit them more, you can bring them into other apps, which we'll talk about later. You can certainly give, as I said, names to the recordings. You can put the recordings into subfolder or folders so that they're, sort of more categorized, and you can share them in a number of ways, right? So you can share them to the Files app, save them to like iCloud Drive or, another file system. Send them in a message or an email, depending on how large they are. Now, if you're sending them in an email and they're too large, they will use MailDrop. So really, there's no, I think MailDrop maybe has something like a 5 gigabyte limit or something. I mean, you're not going to have a recording that's that large typically. And what else? You can, as I said, send them in messages, airdrop them to other people, open them in other apps. There's a lot of things you can do with your voice memo, voice recordings. And the microphones on these iPads and iPhones you're going to find are absolutely incredible. Some of the models consider the mics to be studio quality. I think they're all very good. I actually really, really like, probably best of any of them that I've used, the mics on the new iPad A16, the 11-inch iPad that some people call the 11th generation iPad, but that's not really the name Apple has given to it. iPad A16 is the correct name, but either way, that's honestly one of the best ones. If you listen to some of the stuff that I've done, and you'd be amazed because it sounds like I'm speaking into in fact, it's what I'm using right now. And so I think you'd agree that the sound's really, really good, and that's over Zoom, so it's not even, quite the same as what you would get in other apps. But then the other side of that spectrum is the iPhone 16 Pro, which allows for layered recordings for the very first time ever in voice memos. And I'm telling you, that is so much fun. I wasn't going to run out and buy a 16 Pro just for that. But when I decided to switch carriers and switch internet and stuff, which is a story I will not go into today for the sake of time, but we will be doing a discussion about that on the podcast, Trainer Cliff and I, and so you'll get to hear about it if you're interested in it. But anyway, when I decided to do that, I took advantage of the opportunity to get a 16 Pro, and boy, I'm not regretting that decision. That layered feature in voice memos is absolutely awesome. I don't think it's gotten enough attention, in my honest opinion, for how good it really is. You can only do 2 layers. It's not true multi-track like GarageBand or Logic Pro or something, but it's still really, really cool and really fun. And the best part about it, okay, anybody can talk about layered recordings, right? There's probably, I would have to guess, dozens of apps or more on the App Store that do multi-track and layered recordings. That's not what makes it so special. What makes it so special is that voice memos on the iPhone, because of the way the mics are, because of the processing power in the what is it, A18 Pro, I believe is the name of the chip in the iPhone 16 Pro, because of the way that it's been designed, you don't need headphones. I don't even understand how they do it completely. I have a hypothesis, but I don't really, I can't say for sure. But so, you know how normally those of our audio experts out there, you know what I'm talking about. If you're recording multi-track, you basically have to use headphones. Otherwise, you're going to be duplicating what you play back, right? So, if I play a piano recording back and sing over top of it, well, if I'm recording, now I have two of the piano recordings because the microphone is picking up the speaker of the iPad that's playing the piano, right? So it sounds weird. Now you got two pianos and then the voice, unless you put on headphones. That's even true in GarageBand. Not in voice memos. You can record without any AirPods, any headphones, or anything. It plays back the first layer. It records the second, and you'd never ever know it when you listen back. It is truly a remarkable feat of ingenuity and technology, I gotta say. And as I said, I don't think it's gotten enough attention for how awesome it is, because it truly takes things to a level I've never seen before in anything, anywhere. Even other Apple, you can't do that in Logic Pro. So I don't know how they've done that, but I think it's really, really cool. So that's voice memos. Now that's not iPad, that's iPhone, but we're still going to show you voice memos on the iPad. And so let's get started. I have my other iPad here, and whoops, excuse me. Didn't mean to, that was probably a little noisy for you.
2:16
Apologize
p.m.
there.
Settings,
All right.
page 1 of page
My
2 of 5.
voice memos app.
Clock West. Find iTunes content short voice memos.
Now,
Voice memos, record button.
notice that it already helpfully put me on the record button, but where is that? Well, you're going to find that this is sort of a typical split screen interface. I think there's a sidebar.
Show sidebar.
Yep, there's a sidebar. It's hidden right now. If we show it, I'll show you what's on it. But before we do, let me just show you that this is the main voice memos screen. If I swipe to the right with the sidebar hidden,
all recordings, heading.
We have all of our recordings here.
Edit button.
Along with an edit button, so we can multi-select and perform, the kind of functions on multiple recordings at a time.
Titles, transcripts, search field.
There's a search field.
Double tap to edit.
So we can actually search both the titles and we can search the transcript of a recording, because you get audio transcripts of your voice memos. Now,
dictate, say record voice memo.
There's a little tip.
Close
You
button.
can close that tip if you want to, but notice it said say record voice memo. Well, it said say record voice memo, but if you use SIRI and say record voice memo, it will immediately start the record. It'll open up the voice memos app and start recording for you. So that's a nice little tip for you to be aware of as well. All right, now we'll keep going.
Love test downloading 0 seconds button. Actions available.
What did I do? I think that's a layered recording test that I did from my iPhone. I'm trying to think what song that is even. I can't, if I play it for you, we'd probably get into copyright issues. But it was so much fun.
Layer test.
Yeah, there's another layer test. I've been playing with that.
New recording 2 downloading.
I forgot to name one of those. I'll have to see what that is later.
Yellow Fella,
okay.
March 15th. Apple AI.
So any of these that I want to play, I just double tap them, and it's going to then select that recording and, of course, show its controls on the right. So now let's jump over to the right side of the screen and see what we have there.
No recording selected.
Right now there's no recording selected.
Record button.
But if I swipe left, there's the record button. So the bottom right
no recording selected
is going to be the details of the recording that you've selected. Notice there's none selected right now, and that's correct. But if you swipe to the left,
record button.
There's the record button. Now, for those who are wondering, if you're a voiceover user, you can also magic tap to start and stop your recordings. But be aware that the magic tap while you are recording is going to actually stop the recording, if I recall. It doesn't, now I'm questioning myself. Does it stop it or does it pause it? Because there is a difference. If you pause a recording, you can resume it and keep recording. If you stop it, it's done, and if you start recording now, you're going to be recording on a new separate voice memo. But also, you can go back and edit later. So let's swipe to the left.
2013 05.
And that's it. I mean, there's only a record button there.
Vertical scroll bar. Record.
That's
Button.
the right side of the iPad. And then everything else is going to depend upon
No recording selected.
me selecting something, right? So if I select something on the left, you're going to have a lot more options on the right. Or if I record something, it's going to give you those options. So let's go ahead and do a recording. Now, I know people say, you know, what about voiceover being in your recordings? How do you prevent that? So you have several options if it matters to you. And it may not matter for the recording you're doing. But if it does, one of the suggestions is to turn your volume really low, right? That doesn't work for everybody, but it can work. The other option is to mute your speech with the 3-finger double tap, because you're going to be able to do your magic tap to stop recording later if that's all you need to do. So you can always mute your speech. And of course, the third option is your headphones or your AirPods. I'm not going to care in this recording. We'll just let voiceover be in the background, and that's okay. So I'm going to double tap on this record button.
Record button.
We'll hear a little ding, and we'll just do some very quick recording. Okay, everybody, this is a test. Welcome to our voice memo recording. We're going to hear some voiceover speech in the background, but that's okay. If I magic tap right now, it will stop this recording. But let's look at the screen instead. Do a 4-finger tap near the bottom right.
Done button.
There's a done button. We can stop that way.
Done. Fast forward. 15 seconds. Dimmed.
Well, that's
button.
grayed out because, of course, we can't fast forward anything.
Play button.
Play.
Rewind. Pause button.
There's the pause button, which actually will pause the recording of this voice memo.
Current position 30.6 seconds.
Notice that'll keep counting.
Current position 34.4 seconds.
Right.
Waveform overview.
There's our
37.
waveform. We can see the audio being recorded there if we can see.
Waveform detail 42.
Right.
Duration 45 seconds.
That's just all that information.
2:20 p.m.
The time of the recording.
415
And it gives me the name of it. There's other options going to be available once I stop this thing. So we can hit pause or we can hit done. If we hit pause.
Wave pause but
now
resume button.
We can resume the recording. And I'll hit that. Okay. And we've resumed. And you know differently if you're listening to this thing. Now this time I'll try the magic tap and see what that does. Because we know what will happen if I hit done. It will end the recording. But let's do the 2-finger double tap. And let's see whether it paused or ended it, because I don't remember.
415 record 42 duration wave current rewind play.
Yeah,
button.
It actually ended it. Okay, that's what I thought initially. Then I was questioning myself. So yeah, it actually ended the recording.
Move delete button.
There's all kinds of options. The first thing I want to do is I want to rename this. Depending on your settings, it may put the location of the recording, which is what it's doing here. But I want to name that. So I'm going to double tap where the name is.
42415.
And I'll double tap.
Insertion point at end.
You can also do that later if you want to. You don't have to do it now, but I'm going to go ahead and do it now. And we'll just call it class test. I have my iPad plugged in, so I'm kind of at an odd angle here, but that's okay. Class test 2025.
Delete.
Notice I'm using the on-screen keyboard, and I'm using the swipe gesture. Like the W has the 2 on it.
W.
Now I just swipe down.
2.
5 is on the T.
T5.
If you are not using voiceover, you just kind of flick the key. All right, where the return is that'll do done. And there we go. So now my recording, if I go to the bottom right of the screen.
Show sidebar, but fast forward, 15 seconds, button.
That's the bottom.
Fast forward, play, button.
Swiping left now.
Rewind, 15 seconds. Current position, 1 minute, 1 second. Waveform overview, 1 minute, 1 second. Adjustable.
That's your scrubber.
Swipe up or down. Waveform duration, 1 minute, 11 seconds. 2:20 p.m. Class Test 2025. Text field.
There's to the...
Double tap to edit.
Keep going left.
Toolbar. Delete button.
We can delete this.
Move button.
We can move it to a folder.
Favored button.
Favorite it.
Share button.
We can share it. That's how you do that.
Record button.
There's a record button, which is going to start a brand new voice memo, a brand new voice recording.
2000.
Then you go over it. It wraps to the left. So go back to the right.
Vertical scroll bar. Duration 1 minute 11 seconds. 2000. Duration.
Okay.
Record button.
There's that record button. Now let's play back what we have here. So I'll do a 4-finger tap near the bottom because that'll bring me close to where I want to be.
Fast forward.
Swipe left.
Hit play.
And
button.
hit play. And we've resumed, and you know no differently if you're listening to this thing. Now, this time I'll try the magic tap and see what that does, because we know what'll happen if I hit done.
Delete.
All right, hang tight. But let's... It started me where I resumed. It didn't start me at the beginning, so I'm going to...
Waveform overview, 1 minute, 9 seconds.
I'm going to use that.
51, 40, 34.1 seconds.
We won't even go all the way back to the beginning. We'll just go to 34 seconds. That's partway through, so you can hear a little more of that.
Fast play.
Counting.
Current position, 34.4 seconds.
Right.
Waveform overview.
There's our waveform. You remember me doing that, right?
Recorded there if we can see. Waveform detail, 42. Right. Duration, 45 seconds.
That's just all that information.
2:20 p.m.
The time of the recording.
4:15.
And it gives me the name of it. There's other options going to be available once I stop this thing. So we can hit pause or we can hit done. If we hit pause...
Pause.
And we've resumed, and you know no differently if you're listening to this thing. Now, this time I'll try the magic tap and see what that does, because we know what'll happen if I hit done. It will end the recording, but let's do the 2-finger double tap. Okay, so there you go. That was part of the recording. You got to hear where we paused and resumed, and that worked beautifully, praise God. Now, let me show you...
Pause, recurrent position, wave duration, 2, class test toolbar, delete, move, favored, share, record, 2000, toolbar, share, button.
One of the things that we don't see right now is the way to edit the recording.
Favored,
but
button.
If I...
Move, button.
Let me see.
Delete, class test to 2:20 p.m. Duration, 1 minute. Waveform, current, replay, play.
I think what I need to do on the left here...
Kylie, June 1st.
I'm going to go back up to the top by tapping on the status bar.
Wednesday, 2:26 p.m.
And doing a double tap to scroll to top.
Page 1 of 30.
Okay, that brings me way up to the top.
Record, button.
Now let's...
Say record, close, love, layer, selected. Class test 2025, 2:20 p.m. Transcription available, 1 minute, 11 seconds.
Now,
button.
First of all...
Actions available.
Notice that it gives you the time, the duration. It says transcription available, and you have in your rotor some options here while you're on that recording on the left-hand side of the screen.
Favored, delete, move to folder, more actions, edit title, activate, default.
I'm just going to double tap to activate it.
Selected.
Even though it was technically already selected, but I think we're going to see more options on the right now.
Fast play, rewind, current position, waveform detail, duration, 2:20, class test 2000, toolbar, edit, button.
Yep, see now there's an edit button.
Transcription, button.
Transcription button.
Playback settings, button.
Playback settings button. So now that we've selected it, we have some new options.
Delete, button.
And then you still have delete, move,
favorite,
share
button.
Just as you did before. And remember that your record button has nothing to do with the existing voice memo. It's for a new one. But let's look at some of these options now, because...
Move, delete, playback settings, button.
Show you those first.
Reset playback settings, dimmed, button, options, heading, playback speed, heading, playback speed slider, 1x, adjustable. So you can change the speed at which this plays back. Skip silence, switch button, off.
We can skip the silence.
Double tap to toggle setting, enhance recording, switch button, off.
And you can enhance the recording.
Double tap to toggle setting, enhance recording, switch button,
Let's see if we can tell a difference. I don't know if you'll be able to tell over Zoom. It was a pretty good recording already, because I don't really have any background sounds right now, and the temperature's pretty moderate, so it's not even running heat or air conditioning in our home at the moment. So I don't know if it's going to make much difference, but let's do it just for fun.
On. Enhance playback
now what
option.
We have
reset,
to do,
reset playback settings.
And you can reset them. Now we're just going to tap off of this or scrub out of it. Either way, I'll just tap up above.
Playback speed.
Well,
heading.
Over to the left.
Dismiss pop-up.
Okay. All right, let's play it now.
Class test 2000. Play.
Not the whole thing, but let's play a little bit of it.
Okay, everybody, this is a test. Welcome to our voice memo recording. We're going to hear some voiceover speech in the background, but that's okay. If I magic tap right now...
So, yeah, it did kind of apply what I think your, more advanced apps would refer to as noise gate. It seems like it did do a little, maybe some compression. I really don't know. But it did change it a little. I don't know how much you could tell of that in Zoom, but I think it changed. Or it's in my head, and I think it did. But, whatever. I guess either way, that's good. Let's see. Now, I wanted to do...
Waveform duration.
I wanted to show you...
Class toolbar. Edit. Transcription.
I wanted to show you transcription, because this is new. And even if your device doesn't support Apple Intelligence, you still get a transcript.
Selected. Transcription.
Okay, swipe to the right.
Edit. But class test 2025 to 20 duration. Okay, everybody, this is a test. Welcome to our voice memo recording. We're going to hear some voiceover speech in the background, but that's okay.
Look at that, and we keep going.
If I magic tap right now, it will stop this recording, but let's look at the screen instead.
Okay.
To a 4-finger tap near the bottom, right. Gun button.
Okay, I mean,
There's a done button. We can stop that way.
All right, now, so you get the idea. It's got the transcript. It's almost perfect. And if I keep going...
Well, current position, current, wait for, so we can hit pause or we can hit done. But let's do the 2-finger double tap. Waveform overview,
okay.
Current position, rewind.
So that was our transcript.
Fast.
And I think if I go back to the left...
Current, well, if open 2, class toolbar, edit, but selected, selected,
yeah.
Playback
so
set, selected.
there's the transcription button.
Delete, move,
and
favored,
let's see.
Share, record.
Is there anything I can do to...
Edit, class test 2020, duration, okay, capital. If I magic tap right now, it will stop this recording, but let's look at the screen instead.
Can we select any of that?
Words, lines, text selection.
Looks like maybe we can.
Word selection. If I'm magic tap, select right now, it will stop this recording, but let's look at the screen instead.
Okay.
Selected.
Let's see if I can...
Line, word, container, screen rec, vertical heading, text, line, word, character, containers.
It doesn't appear...
Characters.
Doesn't appear that there's any copy option, unless maybe...
Well, if I magic wave for 5-point current,
yeah, I'm not seeing any way to.
And we've cap hey words and.
I'm not seeing any way to copy
characters.
The transcript here.
Copy.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I had to long press. Double tap and hold, and then I do get
copy
menu as an option.
Copy.
So you can do that. It appears. I don't know if that copied the whole thing or only what I had selected, but definitely you can long press. Now,
but let's do that, and we can 4,000 waveform detail.
Let's deselect.
Waveform current. Well, if I okay to class move button selected, play selected transcription.
Yeah, I've deselected the transcript, so we don't see that now.
Edit.
Let's look at what's under edit.
Replace button. Current replace rewind. 15 play fat done.
There's the done button. Go back to the left.
Play rewind replace button.
Replace
current position waveform overview waveform duration 220 class test tooth trim button
trim
transcription button
and of course
selected playback trim.
So you basically have two choices: replace and trim. Trim will allow you to cut time off of the beginning and or the end of the recording, so you can trim the start and end time. Replace, if you make a mistake, it will actually start recording wherever you are when you hit replace. So if I made a mistake at like 8 seconds, and let's say there was a 2-word mistake that went from the 8th second to the 9th second, I can start recording at 8 seconds, say the correct phrase, and then stop recording, and that will record over what I did. That's also a way to append to an existing recording, because let's say your recording is 30 seconds long and you thought of another idea you want to keep going. Just start recording at like the 29th second and then keep going, and it will typically keep recording for you. So that replace option is a way to do that. In the trim screen, you'll have sliders so you can determine where the ending and starting time are. And I guess that's all I need to show you.
Done button.
We'll hit done because we're not going to make any changes. I showed you the share button is on there on the bottom right, and you can as I mentioned, the different ways you can share your recordings. I also would remind you that that you can actually, if it's the right kind of file, I think it has to be maybe an M4A, you can share files with the Voice Memos app. In other words, you can have an audio file that somebody sent you, and you can open it up in Voice Memos as well. It'll just ask you to give it a name, and it'll open up and save it in your Voice Memos as long as it is compatible. Voice Memos, of course, as you might expect, is fully compatible with iCloud, so it syncs your Voice Memos across all of your devices. That's a great thing. You don't have to do that, but I certainly recommend it, and that includes your Mac. It also includes your Apple Watch, by the way. I didn't get into the folders, but there's a separate folder for Apple Watch recordings already. I'll just show you very quickly. The folders are in the sidebar.
Show sidebar button. Selected. Class test
So on the left,
2025. Hide sidebar.
now we have hide sidebar. Swipe to the right.
Edit button. Voice memos. Heading. Selected. All recordings. 275 recordings. Watch recordings. 22 recordings.
See, there's your watch recordings.
Recently deleted. 1 recording. My folders. Heading.
Here's some folders.
Kids. 6 recordings. Songs. No recording. Toolbar. My
So I
folder.
made 2 folders. I never put everything. I have a lot more recordings than just 6 that have to do with the kids, and I have some songs, but I never, finished that project. I could do that sometime, but you can make new folders.
Kid songs. Toolbar. New folder. Button.
Right there's the new folder button. So if we want to make more folders,
Edit.
and there's
all recordings.
then you go to what's on the right. So I'm going to hide that, not on the right, but to the right of the sidebar.
Hide sidebar. Hide sidebar.
Hide that sidebar.
Toolbar.
Okay.
Share. Home.
That's going to do it for
Keynote. Double tap to open.
our
Numbers.
voice memos
Tap to open.
demonstration. Very powerful app, as you can see. Very easy to use. And now, excuse the noise there for a moment. I'm going to go ahead and do the screen share so we can get back to the other app of the day. This app is going to take more than one day. It's the Notes app. We're going to start today. We're going to continue on Monday. Praise God. And we're going to have an experience lab for Notes on Wednesday. And we might even include voice memos in there, because why not? So give me a moment to... You're going to hear voiceover speech here, but I want to get the screen share going.
Zoom. Start. Chat. React. Share. But. Screen. Start broadcast. 3. Stop. 2. 1.
There we go. All right.
Picture-in-picture displayed. Video.
My Notes app.
Doc. Notes.
And
Double tap
praise
to
the Lord.
open.
Let's open it up.
Notes. Wednesday, April 16th.
Okay.
Status bar item.
Once again, we
Swipe
have
down with
a sidebar. The Notes app is fully compatible with iCloud as well, of course. And so all of your notes sync across all of your devices so long as they're signed into the same Apple account. You can make folders and even subfolders, right? A folder within a folder for your notes to help organize them. You can do so much with Notes, right? So, when Notes first started out, way back with probably I'm going to say with the iPhone initially. So my first experience with it would have been on the iPhone 3GS. Because that's the first one that had voiceover. And it was basically you jot a note down and that was it, right? That's all the Notes app did. Now, this is almost a word processor. It does a lot of the basic stuff that a word processor does. Not everything, but it does a lot. And so much more, because you have these, you have the ability to add photos to your notes, web links, checklists, bulleted lists, audio, any kind of attachment, really, tables. You can format your text. You can lock sensitive notes so that they require a fingerprint or a facial, a profile to unlock them, or your passcode. You can pin your favorite and most important notes to the top of the list. You can print out your notes. You can do all kinds of things with your notes. And I do a lot of, unless I need to really, Pages is my go-to. I really, really like Pages, and we're going to teach Pages here in just a couple of weeks, praise God. But this, if you're not doing, a true word processing document or desktop publishing, you just want to, have a basic note, you can do that here, and you can share your notes collaboratively, which is so awesome, because you can make a real-time collaborative folder. All the notes in that folder are collaborative, or you can collaborate with individual notes. And so what we can do is we can share our note with other people, and together we can edit the note, right? So we have, to give you some examples, we have a TTJ team notes folder, so that anytime one of us has a note, like I put the proposed course outlines in that folder, and we all take a look at them and discuss them together, at our instructor meetings and so on. And then, like my family and I have a shared notes folder called Family, and we put, important things in there. Right now we're getting ready to do a big spring cleaning project, which we always like to do every spring. Well, I think I like it more than some people in the family, but I enjoy it, and it really gets us ready for spring, praise God, inside and out. We'll start that here over the weekend. And it takes more than one day, but we do, And so we put in there the chores and we designate what everybody's going to do. Usually ends up being my daughter and me on a team and then my wife and son on another team. And, we have fun with it. And so we put all those things as checklist items. I know you can do checklist items in reminders, and I use that for, reminders and grocery lists and all that. But you also can do it in the Notes app. And so here we make checklists, of who's going to do what. And then we can see them all together. We can check them off, as we complete the task. My daughter uses the Notes app to make her birthday and Christmas lists. And it is so funny because she really goes all out when she makes these lists. She puts the item in there as a checklist item, but then she'll add a photo to it so that people can see what it is. She'll add the web link where you should buy it. She'll do all of these things. But what's funny is then she'll share it collaboratively, with the grandparents and stuff. And I always have to tell my parents, now remember, don't check this off when you get it, because that's the immediate thought process is, well, when I buy that gift for Kylie, I'm going to check it off. So, no, don't do that, because then she'll see it and she'll know what she's getting for Christmas or her birthday, so you can't do that. So it's but it's a lot of fun. So this Notes app is incredibly powerful, and I'm going to show you some of it today and some more of it on Monday. And with that, we have to talk about formatting text for the first time in this class. We got to get into advanced editing, advanced formatting. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. So we're in the Notes app.
240 Notes. Show sidebar button.
Again, there's a sidebar. This time I'm going to look at it first so we get it out of the way, because I want to focus on other things. But it's important to know what's on this sidebar.
Folders heading.
And you just got your answer. All of my notes folders.
Edit button.
And we can edit.
Edit folders heading. Quick notes. 3 notes.
Quick Note is a special feature that was introduced for the iPad a few years ago. I don't remember exactly how many years ago. And sighted users can use their finger or the Apple Pencil and make a diagonal gesture from, let's say, the bottom right corner of the screen to the top left corner, and it will automatically open a Quick Note for them. With VoiceOver, you can assign a custom gesture to it or put it in Control Center if you want to use it. I don't really use it that much, but...
Math notes. 1 note.
Oh, we get to show you math notes. Math notes are a lot of fun.
Call recordings. 3 notes.
Okay. On the iPhone, you can record calls, and it'll save the call in there.
Shared. 184 notes.
Okay, the shared notes, anything you share collaboratively or that's been shared with you is going to show up into that. It's kind of like a smart folder, I guess you'd say.
iCloud button heading expanded.
Now we have iCloud.
Double tap to collapse.
And notice that it's expanded because iCloud supports notes. So do Gmail and some others. And I don't use any of those other ones. I've turned them off. Remember that discussion? Okay, but iCloud, everything's under there. Let's go to the right.
All iCloud, 2042 notes.
Okay, so that should be the total of all of my notes in all iCloud. I don't have anywhere else that I put notes. There is the option of having an on my folder, like they'll call it, on my iPad or on my iPhone. And that would be for notes that are only to stay on that device and not sync. I have disabled that folder, or maybe it's disabled by default and I didn't enable it because I don't want to. And that's under settings, apps, and notes, just in case you're wondering. But I don't want to use that folder because I always want everything to sync across all my devices. So I've disabled that or allowed it to stay disabled, whatever. And praise God, everything syncs. And so this should be all of my notes, that number you just heard. Now, if we go to the right,
notes, 778 notes.
That's still someday I probably should go and fix that. What happened here is that, I was using the Notes app long before they had notes folders. A lot of these notes that are in this generic notes folder, that's the default one that everybody gets, really should be in other folders. Okay, but I've just not gone back through and done that. Once they started offering folders, then I created them, and everything else now goes in those. But that I should go back and edit that. All right, let's go.
2022 TTJ info shared by Clifton Miller Sr. 5 notes.
We don't actually need to read all of my folders, but just try to give you an idea.
Betty blah, blah, colon for devotionals, 740 notes.
I've got all of the different, devotionals and Bible study things. A lot of other folders. I have a TTJ folder. I have a preaching folder. Our family folder.
Faith Summit, family notes, shared with Jessica Volbrecht and 2 others.
See, these are shared. How do you share a folder? Well, you're going to long press it. When you long press or use the rotor, you get all kinds of options. I'm going to do the long press because that'll have all of the options. I don't remember if the rotor does or doesn't, but this is how our sighted users would do it as well. Long press.
Share folder button. Share preview. Share folder. Manage shared folder.
That
button.
one has a manage option because it's already shared. It's already being shared.
Show folder activity. Move button. Rename. Delete. Dismiss context menu.
Okay,
button.
so your folder actions and folder
Selected.
options are there. And at the bottom left of the screen,
Toolbar. New folder button.
you can create a new folder.
Double tap to add a new folder.
As I said, you can even create a folder within a folder. Now let me go to the TTJ folder because that's where we'll work today.
Faith. Kylie. Titanic. TTJ. 200. Selected. TTJ. 200. Vertical scroll bar. Tech 300. Digital Millennium. Welcome email. Page 20 of 21.
I'll do that single finger.
2:45 p.m. Status bar item. 2:45 p.m. 2:45 p.m.
Scroll to top, double tap.
Notes.
And
TTJ.
okay.
Folder
So
actions.
let me explain to you what's happened. When you double tap on a folder, it hides the sidebar then.
Show sidebar.
See,
button.
it's hidden now automatically. So as soon as you double tap on a folder, it closes the sidebar and it has selected that folder. If you have the 13-inch iPads or 12.9s, it won't do that. It's going to leave that sidebar showing until you hide it. But in the case of this, it will indeed hide the sidebar as soon as you select a folder. Now, notice the top left of the screen.
Show sidebar. Folder actions. Button.
These are probably much...
Double tap to show the notes list action menu.
These are probably much the same, but let's look at them.
View as gallery. Button. Share folder. Add folder. Button. Move this folder. Button. Rename. Button. Select notes. Sort by. Default. Date edited. Group by date. Default. On. View attachments. Button. Convert to smart folder. Dismiss context menu.
Actually...
Show side.
There were quite a few additional options there that we didn't see before. I'm not going to talk about all of them for the sake of time, but let me just mention a couple. Add folder. That's where you're going to add a subfolder, right? Now, you notice there were some sorting options. You can sort by the date. Also, you heard it say group by date. What that means is it kind of separates the notes into groups like today, last week, last 30 days, this year. You can turn that on or off. And there were some other options in there that are very useful. We're not going to demonstrate all of them. What's a smart folder? Well, a smart folder is going to use other information like your tags and so on to aggregate notes already for you. There's a lot, again, we're trying to give you an overview here, but I would say spend some time with this. All right, now I dismissed that, so this is my list of notes, but...
Search, pinned, previous, pinned, button, heading, collapsed.
Okay.
Double tap to expand.
You can hide or you can collapse and expand your pinned notes section. And that's important because if you want to see your pins, you want to expand that. If you want to see, the pin, just like messages. Remember the pinning in messages? When you pin something, it always stays at the top. So these are things that I might need to get back to quickly. I want to pin them. So like if I expand this.
Pinned, heading, expanded. Selected, Spring 25 course list. WAIOS 2020 package order. Pinned, how to get content. EIN. Pinned, modified December 6th.
So these are pinned. Now, if I keep going, I'll get past the pins, or I can hide that.
Selected, pinned, button, heading, expanded.
Double tap.
Pinned, heading, collapsed.
Now when we swipe to the right, we're not seeing the pins, we're seeing...
Previous 7 days, heading.
So again, they're grouped by date. So these are the most recent, the 7 days most recent.
Phones, these are double Thomas, previous,
and then you
previous 30 days.
You get to the previous 30 days and so on. So any of these notes that you want to view, all you need to do is double tap on it and it's going to display it on the right. Just like anything else on the iPad that has a split screen. You double tap on the one you want on the left, it shows it on the right. We instead, however, are going to create a new note. There is a note, I think, selected already on the right if I touch.
Note, empty line.
Okay. But up at the top right,
Picture in picture. Video.
well, we have the...
Note. February 16th.
I'll just swipe to the left of that edit field.
New note button.
And there it is.
Double tap to compose a new note.
All right, so we're going to do that. We're going to double tap to compose a new note.
Note, text field, is editing, insertion point at start.
Now,
use the rotor to access misspelled words.
You will have if you can see this, you're going to have like a toolbar below and a toolbar above. And when you hide the keyboard versus when you show the keyboard, you're going to have different options. So you can be in kind of an edit mode where the keyboard is showing on the screen. You can also hide the keyboard with that button on the bottom right of the screen. And then what you have is more of a review mode where you can't type, but you have various choices that you can still apply to your note. So just keep that in mind. The keyboard should be showing right now because this indeed is the edit field and we just tap new note. And by default, you can change this in your settings, but by default, the first note, the first line of a new note is always the title of the note. And that's going to be important. Remember that because we're going to talk about formatting text here in a little while. I don't know if it'll be today or if it'll be next week, but you can, when you make a new note, the first line of that note is always the title. That's also going to be the title that shows in your list of notes that we were looking at on the left a few minutes ago. You heard one that said phone, one that said like package order or packet, something like that. That's because that was the first line of text in the particular note that I created at the time. So we're going to call this one Class Test 2025. Let me get oriented here.
L. Cap C L A S S space cap T E at T space test.
Again, I'm using the flick gesture, not really, you know what I mean, the rotor.
Double two.
Get the numbers.
P 0 0 2 2 T 5 5 M colons
on the M.
25.
Press return twice.
New line.
Now I have my new lines. I'm ready to start typing more stuff. So let's say this is a test.
Capped H I S I S T E at T.
I will apply the excuse the puppy for a moment there. But I will apply the period shortcut. For those who don't know, the period shortcut is the double space. So we press space, space, and it puts a period and a space.
Space, period, space.
There you go. And I'll just keep typing. We'll say, welcome to class.
Cap E L C M space T up space L S S.
Notice it already has the SS ready to go when I type CLA, so I'll just put a period.
Period, class.
And it puts the whole word in there because it knew what I wanted to type. Those suggestions, again, a reminder, are above the on-screen keyboard, above the letters U, I, and O. If I didn't like one, I could see what else is there, or I could just keep typing and it would override that. But it saved me a couple of taps, and that's okay. Not a big deal either way, but I wanted to show you that that does work. Let's put another couple blank lines.
New line.
And let's put that very famous sentence that has every letter of the alphabet that we always use every year. The quick brown fox.
Capped H E space U I space B R O space F O X space
jumps over
fox.
The lazy dog.
J U M P space V E E space T H E space L A space D up G period dog.
Okay, press return.
New line.
Couple times. I want to put some. We gotta review, I know this isn't a voiceover class, but we need to review, like, spelling corrections and so on. So I need to deliberately misspell some stuff, but it's going to probably try to auto-correct, so I got to really misspell things to give you an idea of how that will work. So let's try it and see what we get. I'm going to deliberately, let's see,
Cap H.
put the word hello, but I think if I put a K,
L,
well,
K, O,
maybe it won't.
space, Hacko, misspelled.
Oh, because I forgot I don't know what I did. That worked. That's misspelled. Let's see how I actually spelled that.
Return K L E.
Okay.
Echo, cap H, E, L, K, O, space.
Okay, that's great. It's misspelled. Let's do another one.
T, H, J, double R, E, space. Misspelled.
It's supposed to be the word there, but I misspelled it on purpose. Let's do one more, but I want to try to do one now where it will autocorrect so you can see. Let's do everyone.
E-V-E-R.
Put a U.
U.
And put
O-N.
It's going to autocorrect.
E.
Good. Press period.
Period. Everyone.
And it fixed it. And if I wanted to see what it was going to autocorrect, I could tap up above the keyboard on the screen and look, and it would tell me which one's selected. And you notice, how do I know it's autocorrecting? Because I hear the little bubble sound. That indicates that it's autocorrecting or that it's making a suggestion. Usually autocorrect in this instance, though. All right, so we return again.
New line.
All right, that's enough for now. So let's do spelling first, so we can get that out of the way. If you can see, the misspellings will be like in a red underline, and all you have to do is tap and hold on the word, and it'll bring up a list of replacements. You may not even have to tap and hold. You can sometimes just double tap on the word. If we have folks who are planning on using this from a sighted perspective, I will do I'll have to do, to be honest with you, a quick review myself of the documentation, since I don't do it with the sighted quote-unquote gestures. So if we have folks who are sighted who want to know these details, please let me know. And don't hesitate to let me know, because I'm happy to do it. But I need to review the Apple documentation to tell you, when we edit with VoiceOver, all the differences, because there's a whole different way to do it. But I'm happy to do that, so let me know if you need that. But basically, with the misspellings, you tap on the word and you'll get the replacement choices. Now, you can kind of do that with VoiceOver too, but it's going to be a lot easier to use the VoiceOver method. With the VoiceOver method, as I like to call it, you kind of can do a global spell check. So I could find a misspelled word, and I could select it, and then I think in the edit rotor it will have the replace option, and I can choose it that way. So I can sort of do it the way that sighted users do it, instead of doing a global one. But they do offer this global one. So what we want to do to use the global spell check with VoiceOver is go back to the beginning of the note by going to the edit field.
Note, text field.
And double tapping.
Insertion point at start.
Because you remember that when you double tap in the edit field, it toggles you between the beginning and the end, and the beginning and the end, and so on. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring focus to the on-screen keyboard. I'll just touch the return key.
Return.
I'm going to turn the rotor
to access misspelled words.
Yeah, and see, it even tells me that. So I'm going to use the rotor, turn it to where it says misspelled words.
Misspelled words.
Okay.
Swipe left or right to choose a replacement, then double tap to insert.
And that's a very good hint there. But first we have to swipe up or down to go to the next or previous misspelling. We're not on a misspelling right now. Swipe down.
Echo selected.
Yep, that was where we typed hello, and we misspelled it. So let's swipe to the left or to the right to choose a replacement.
Hello.
And that's what we're going to want. So we'll double tap.
Hello, unselected.
Now swipe down again.
Sure, selected.
That's supposed to be the word there. Swipe left or right.
No replacements.
Ooh, it doesn't have any replacements. It's just
no replacements.
Too badly misspelled to have any replacements. So what do? Well, the word is already selected, because when you swipe up and down while you're in the misspelled words rotor option, it selects the next and previous misspelling. So since the word is already selected, I'm just going to have another go at it and see if I can't figure out how to spell it correctly. So here we go. Let's type
T, selection deleted.
C,
H-E-R-E.
And now it should be correct. And now if I swipe
left paren, return.
So I have to return again.
Space.
I'm on the character selection.
E.
And I have everyone, which auto-corrected. So I should not have any more misspellings. If I set the rotor,
misspelled words,
swipe up or down.
Swipe left or right to choose a replacement, then double tap to insert.
You can see, you can hear, there's no more misspellings, which is exactly what I would expect. Let's turn the rotor away from misspelled words.
Return characters.
And let's listen to the whole note now.
Note, text field is editing. Class test 2025. This is a test. Welcome to class. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Hello there, everyone. Character mode.
Okay.
Insertion point.
So I now want to do something else. I want to show you how to copy. I want to show you how to select and copy text in your note, because that's going to be important as well. A quick reminder about placement of the insertion point. And I think you all know that the insertion point is the system cursor that moves and that positions your cursor so that you know where you're going to type. If you can see, it blinks where it is, and you can literally move your finger to move it, right? You can, with VoiceOver, you use characters, words, or lines in the rotor to move the insertion point. And you VoiceOver users, the majority of our class, if not all of it, you know that you have this VoiceOver cursor, that's the rectangle that highlights everything. We learned that in the VoiceOver class, right? But in an app that has text, like pages or notes, you're not only moving the VoiceOver cursor, you are actually also moving the system's insertion point, because that's what's going to determine where you type. And so a quick note about the insertion point. And again, we learned this in the VoiceOver class, but I want to remind everybody because this is pretty critical. When you swipe up or down, when your rotor is set to characters, words, or lines, what you are going to hear is the thing that the VoiceOver cursor is passing over. I'm going to take my note to the beginning and I'll show you what I mean.
Note, text field, insertion point at start.
Now, let's pretend, I'll give my quick analogy again that I like to give every year when we talk about this. This is really important. As I say, I know this is not a VoiceOver class, but we really, if we don't have this cemented in, we're going to have a lot of problems. So I really want to make sure we understand this. All right, the analogy that I like to give is let's pretend that our instructor team is sitting at a table, maybe at a restaurant, and we're all sitting in a line. It's like one of those long counters or tables with stools, let's say. So all three of us are sitting there. So let's say I'm on the far left, and to my right is trainer Cliff, and to his right is trainer Sarah. Now, if I stand up and I walk behind the stools, the first person I'm going to pass by is trainer Cliff. When I pass by him, I will now be standing between trainer Cliff and trainer Sarah. Cliff being on the left, Sarah being on my right. If I walk to the left now, I am passing by trainer Cliff again. Both directions I passed by Cliff, but now I am between my seat where I was sitting and Cliff. He's now on my right. He's not on my left. And if I walk to the right again, I now am passing Cliff again. Really important, passing Cliff. Now Cliff's on the left, Sarah's on the right. And finally, if I walk to the right one more time, I pass by Sarah, and I have Sarah on the left and the wall on the right, or whatever's there, right? Because there's no other person at our counter. Thus is the great way to understand how you're going to be hearing your VoiceOver announcements as you move by character, word, or line with the rotor, and even later on with a mechanical keyboard, because the same thing is true. So let's set the rotor to characters.
Return words, characters.
Okay, it already was. I'm at the beginning of the note, and if you recall, my first word was class, because it said class test 2025. So I will begin by swiping down with one finger. I can't swipe up because I'm at the beginning. So where is my VoiceOver cursor and my insertion point right now? They are as far to the left as they can go. I know we're swiping up and down with one finger to move, but we're technically going left and right on this line, right? So we can't go any further to the left. What's to the right? The letter C in the word class. So when I swipe down with one finger, we're going to pass the letter C, and that's what we're going to hear.
Cap C. Charlie.
Now, where is my insertion point? It's between the C and the L. If I swipe back up, I'm going to pass the letter C again, so we're going to hear it again.
Cap C. Charlie.
But where's my insertion point now? It's to the left of the C, right? Do you understand this? So if I swipe down,
Cap C.
and I tap
Charlie.
on the edit field.
Can. Note, text field is editing. Class test 2025. This is a test.
Well, it's going to read the whole thing there. But it would tell me that the insertion point, let me see if I can do something here.
Title, system font regular, 30 point, dark gray, bold, natural alignment, indentation level 0, character mode, insertion point between cap C and L at the second position.
Yep. Now, how did I get it to do that, my friends? Well, that's a 3-finger single tap on the note. You got to, have the focus there typically, but 3-finger single tap, it'll read those attributes like that very nicely for you. And And we'll show you a keyboard command for that later on too. But that told me a lot, and it told me the formatting, font, all those kinds of things. But notice that it said then insertion point between cap C and L at the second position. That's where your insertion point is. But if you move back up with one finger, swipe up with one finger, you're moving back to the left. You're hearing that same letter in both directions. You need to remember where your insertion point is. So if I swipe down again now, I should hear L.
Add link.
Whoops. First of all, I have the focus off of the keyboard, so it went to the actions rotor. That's how you can add a link. We'll get to that later, but
Return.
bring focus back.
As test 2025.
Okay. There's the L.
A. S. S.
A, and now swipe
Sierra,
down.
space.
There's the space. So where am I? Well, I have to the right the letter T in test.
Cap T.
There it is.
Tango.
Now my insertion point's between the T and the E. If I swipe back up,
Cap T.
it's now between
Tango.
the space that's to the left of it and the letter T in test. Okay, so just wanted to show you that. The same thing is true with words. If I turn the rotor,
Words.
swipe back up,
Class.
can't go any further. Swipe down, we're going to pass by the word class again.
Class.
So it says the same thing, but now the insertion point is between class and test. Finally, lines.
Characters. Words. Lines.
Swipe down,
Test 2025.
go down, empty
18
line.
point. Not bold. System font regular.
Notice it tells me now that it's not bold. That first line is bold. We're going to learn why in a little bit, probably on Monday. But notice now, swipe down.
This is a test.
That's
Welcome to class.
that. Okay, that's that line. So I want to make it, this is a quick test. So to do that, I'll swipe back up to the beginning of the line.
This is a test. Welcome to class.
I'll set the rotor to words now,
Words.
and I'll swipe down.
This is a.
Okay, where are we? We're between the word A and test. And now I need to go to characters
Characters.
and swipe down one more time
Space.
to get to the right of the word. Now I'm between the space and the word test, which is where I want to add the word quick. But I'm not going to add the word quick. I'm going to say very quick. So let's do very.
C.
Whoops, I missed.
C.
Okay, we'll delete.
V. E. R. Y.
And I need to put another space.
Space. Very.
Okay, this is a very test, is what it says right now. I want to say the word quick, but the reason I didn't do that is I want to actually copy the word quick. I want to show you how to do that, because I have quick down in Quick Brown Fox. So we're going to paste. We're going to go down. Let's go to lines.
Character. Words. Line. Test. Welcome to class. 2. Activate. Return. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog.
Let's go back to the beginning of that line.
The quick brown fox jumps over.
Set the rotor to words.
Words.
Swipe down.
The.
Okay, we're right before the word quick, but I'm going to go to the characters setting to go
Characters.
after the space.
Space.
You don't need to copy the space. Now, we're going to set the rotor to text selection. If you don't have this enabled in your rotor, you really ought to. Our non-voiceover users, what you do is you tap the word you want to select. You double tap, and when you can actually, again, I'll double check this if we have sighted users that want to know this for sure, but I think you can tap with one finger and hold, and then tap on another finger to add additional words to what's selected as well. And there are like these handles you can resize. Again, I'll double check all of this, but now we're going to use text selection in the voiceover rotor. So what I am doing now, I need to set the rotor to text selection.
Words. Lines. Text selection.
Now,
Swipe right to expand selection. Swipe left to shrink selection.
we swipe up or down to choose between character selection, word selection. Watch, swipe down.
Line selection. Page selection. Select all.
Go back up.
Page select. Line selection. Word selection. Character selection.
It would cycle back around too. But let's go to word selection.
Word selection.
Now we swipe to the right to add to what's selected. Swipe to the left to take away from it. So let's swipe right.
Quick. Selected.
And that's all I want to select is just the word quick. So now I can turn my rotor to edit.
Lines. Word. Misspelled. Edit.
Swipe up or down until I hear copy.
Look up. Share. Undo. Make checklist up. Set bold. Set italic. Set decrease. Copy.
There it is, double tap.
Quick. Copied.
Now, I need to move the cursor without typing so that I deselect what's already selected. Otherwise, we could have a problem if I type something. So hit return, but don't press it.
Return.
And just tap and hold. Now, swipe up with one finger.
Decrease indent copy.
Okay, we're still on edit, so I have to turn the rotor.
Misspelled characters.
Now,
return.
Swipe up.
Quick. Unselected.
Okay, it unselected. Now, let's go back to where we want to add the word very quick. This was a very quick test.
Shift.
So,
return words. Line. New line. This is a very test. Words. This is a very.
Characters.
Character space.
And right there, that's where I want to add quick. And I'm assuming it probably copied the space after the word quick as well. But if not, we can add one. We can always check. So I can set the rotor to edit, and I can use paste. But I have another way to do it too. There's a paste button on the screen on the iPad. And this is true in other apps, mail, messages. But let's go to the edit field here.
Note, empty line.
Swipe right.
Undo, redo, dimmed.
See those buttons?
Paste button.
There's the paste button on the screen. So I'm going to use that. I'll double tap on paste. This will paste from other apps as well.
Paste.
Okay, let's see what happened.
Return, space, K, C.
There it is. There's the word quick.
T.
And indeed it did put
Tango.
the space. So let's listen now.
Note, text field is editing. Class test 2025. This is a very quick test.
There you go.
Welcome to class.
All right, praise God. So it put the word and it put the space correctly. So everything is great with this note. I'm not going, well, I can get it. Yeah, I can do a little bit of formatting, I suppose. You know, I'd like to not overwhelm you in one day, so I don't want to do too much more today. But I will do two other things. I'll do a little bit of formatting. Now, with apps like Notes and Pages, you can apply individual formatting things like bold, italics, you know, underline, those kinds of things. But you can also apply what are known as paragraph styles. And they have like a collection of attributes. So if you go back to this note and we go to lines here.
Return words, lines.
My title, if you swipe up.
This is a very quick test. New line. Class test 2025. Title. 30 point. Bold. System font regular. Indentation level 0.
Notice that it said title. And then if I swipe down.
Class test 2025. This is a very quick test. Welcome to class.
And I'll check the attribute. It didn't read it that time, but
bottom right corner, bottom right note, and system font regular, 18 point, dark gray, natural alignment.
See, that's 18 point now. So it's not bold anymore. If I go by word.
Misspelled word, action, character, word, class. The quick 2, well, tech quick vary, A, is, this, 2025 colon, title, 30 point, bold, system font regular.
Now back.
2025 colon.
Down.
This, body, 18 point, not bold, system font regular.
See, it really does a great job, praise God, of acknowledging those attribute changes. But notice that you hear body versus title. Those are actual, like, text styles, paragraph styles, and those are available. And they will automatically make a collection of changes. And then you can further customize them if you want to. So, like, let's just take the word vary and select it.
Return, lines, words, is, a.
Okay.
Space.
Here comes the word vary. I'll.
Words, lines, text selection.
This time I'll use character.
Character selection. V, E, R, Y, selected.
Now I'm going to turn the rotor away from text selection.
Lines.
But I'm not going to touch anything because I don't want to deselect what I've already selected. I want to go up to the edit field and I want.
Note, April 16th.
Swipe left.
Done. New note. More.
Or is it right? I forget.
Handwrite. Share. Attachments.
It's going to be.
Table. Checklist. Format.
It's left.
Button.
Format. You have
a tap to choose a style to apply to text.
Right. So we have, if we double tap here.
Format. Title. Switch button not selected. Type heading. Switch button not selected. Subheading. Switch button not selected. Body. Switch button selected.
Right. So these are the paragraph.
Toggle setting.
You can choose one of these styles and it will automatically, like, we know that title is bold 30 point because that's what it said, right? So we in the Notes app, that is. Now in Pages it might be something different. We'll look in a week or two, but I think it's the week after next. But anyway, no, it's, well, whatever. Anyhow, maybe that's next week. you can pick one of these and it will do those collection of things, but then you can also
Mono-styled. Switch button. Bold text. Switch button not selected.
so we can apply bold
Double
ourselves
tap
here.
to italicized text. Switch button not selected.
So let's just make the word
Double
very.
tap bold text. Switch button not selected.
Let's make the word very
Double tap to toggle setting.
bold. Okay.
Bold text. Switch button selected.
Now it's selected. Let's go to the right.
Ital underline text. Strike through tap. Toggle highlight. Switch button not selected.
Okay.
Double tap to toggle setting.
Let's do this. Let's put a color on this.
Selected.
So we highlight and we go to the right.
Select highlight color purple button. Bullet list. Select highlight color purple button.
Double tap.
Pop-up button. Purple button. Selected. Purple. Orange. Mint. Blue. Blue. Mint. Orange button.
Let's make it orange.
Space.
Now.
Title, hex up, bold, italic, underline, strike through, toggle highlight, switch
So
button
it's on,
selected,
and
select highlight color orange button.
Okay.
Bulleted list, switch button not selected.
Notice we can make a bulleted
Double
list.
tap dashed list, numbered
Dashed
list,
and numbered.
Outdent text not selected button. Indent text not select block quote.
And
Switch
indent
button.
and outdent have to do with lists. Like you can make sub lists or nested lists. In other words, a list within a list.
Cut button. Copy button. Button. Paste button.
Those actually
Verb.
are part of the keyboard, not the menu. So once we're done here, let's just scrub.
Pinned.
And now
button.
let's deselect.
Heading, return. Very. Unselected.
But let's look at it now.
Words. Very. A. Body. Dark gray. Not bold. System font regular.
Go back down.
A. Alpha. Space. Very. Body. Emphasis orange. Bold. System font regular.
See, notice now, it tells us everything we need to know. Orange, emphasis, and was bold. Because those are the changes that we made. So that's the format menu. You can do a lot with it. And believe me, you will have a chance to do so in the experience lab because we want you to try this stuff, right? I could spend an entire class on text formatting, and we will spend more time on it in Pages too. But again, you know, there's always that straddling that line of being overwhelming versus not showing you enough. I've shown you. You can see that it's there and how it works, and it's really useful. And for people who are writing, for people that can see to read it, it's really important that we make use of this stuff, that we separate our sections by using headings or by bold and different things like that, you know, and so it's important to know how to do this. And of course in Pages you can have even more choices because you can use different fonts and font sizes and all kinds of colors, not just, you know, purple, orange, mint, and blue. And then you have, you know, so many other options. But this is kind of getting our feet wet a little bit, dipping our toe into the waters here. I want to do one other thing before we go to the other instructors and the questions. Make sure, I hope I can do it quickly enough because I know we have some instructors maybe have to leave early, but I want to just very quickly go to the end of this.
Note, empty line, insertion point at start of line, insertion point at start.
Okay, I'm going to go to the end.
Insertion
and I'm
point
going
at
to
end.
have the Notes app do some math for
Return
us.
Characters.
So,
new line.
Let's,
new line.
do.
Numbers. Smiling
Okay,
face.
whoops.
Next keyboard. Emoji search hidden.
Okay.
Selected. Emoji. Numbers.
Maybe do.
1.
I could have done
2,
the flicks, but I want to do.
2.
Where's my plus symbol?
0. Return.
I think I
0.
have to go to the.
Apostrophe.
Let me see.
Left
Yeah, I think I have to go symbols for plus.
Quadruple ellipsis backslash greater than at left right return 0 it's pound sign section sign vertical tilde ellipsis backslash less than.
See, I don't
greater
remember.
Than, exclamation return space tilt euro sign tab redo euro sign
notice.
Pound sign yen sign underscore caret left right return 0 delete 5.
Well, no,
Yen sign
that's
under left right return section vertical ellipse backs less greater exclamation question emoji letters.
Maybe it is on the
Dictate,
other
space,
keyboard.
letters, high key.
I haven't used it in a while, I guess.
Number.
Let me just check.
Right left delete 0 not X.
Because that's the numbers.
2 redo
So,
dim letters
must be
numbers.
Must be on the
1 undo at number apps left right quotate rich symbols percent hyphen plus equals.
There it is. So we're gonna say 2 plus 3,
2,
or 3,
3,
3,
3,
and it was on that bottom row.
semicolon, equals 5.
Did you hear what just happened? 2 plus 3 equals 5. It did it for us, and I press return.
Return 2 plus committed 5.
And it commits that result. It'll do this math for you. Let's do something more complex.
Return new line.
We went out for dinner and a movie, so we're going to type the word dinner.
$sign.
Whoops.
Emoji. Letters.
Go back.
Delete.
Letters.
$sign.
Okay.
Cap I.
Dinner.
Cap DINNER. Space. Dinner.
And I think I have to do
numbers.
Equals.
Space. Numbers.
Let's say dinner was $80.
U. 7. 8 P 0 space.
And
A N D space.
movie.
M O V I E space.
Equals.
Move B slash.
And is it?
Semicolon.
Do I have it
V,
here?
Equals.
Yep, I do. I didn't even have to go to another keyboard, folks. I just used the letter V.
Equals.
Movie equals. Let's say that movie was $65. We got some snacks too.
Space. Y.
Drinks.
6 T 5.
All right. Press return.
Return. New line. 65.
Now we're going to say dinner.
Cap DINNER space. Dinner.
Plus.
C plus space.
Movie.
M O V I E space V
Equals.
Computed result 145.
And there you go.
Committed 145.
So it is able to do mathematical equations for you. It's able to, all these math notes, you can do that right in the Notes app. And it is really, really awesome.
Thanks for joining today's session. Didn't get your question answered? Have an additional comment or feedback? Email us info@ttjtech.biz or info@stiritup.com. And remember, stir is spelled with a U. That's STURITUP.com. Or check out our websites for additional resources. That's ttjtech.biz or stiritup.com. And remember, subscribe to the newsletter when you're there. That way, you don't miss out on any upcoming announcements or events. Thanks for joining us. God bless, and see you next time.